I must say, sanibonani, ninjani, nikhuluma lana noThulisile umntaka Galilekile, kodwa ke mina nguZulu Khalmeshe. Umadzikana uVebu wabani. Anokwazi ke ukuthi umuntu ngiyamthanda. Mangikwaze ukuthi ngisukume ngiyokhuluma phambi kwabantu. You must know ukuthi that person is a significant person in my life. Because I am not one to stand in front of crowds because they make me extremely nervous. But when Knox approached me and said, "Ngicela ukuthi ungimele," my friend, I did it because it's you. Now, before I start talking about what I've been tasked to talk about, I think I need to just pause and reflect on this lady. Unox, apparently, we worked together a craft. But I must admit, Uguti, I'm one of those persons that tends to focus a lot on work, and I do it to the best of my ability. And the learning that I've had is that you need to pause and look out so that you can see and understand the people that you deal with. I walked past one day and she said, "I want to be your friend." And I think what you put out there into the universe, God knew that it needed to happen because He knew there's quite a lot that I learned. I learned the power of humbleness. I learned the power of strength. I learned the power of rising. And I think it's important that you understand the impact that you have on those around you. And that impact is driven by the fact that we all look from the outside in and we appreciate because you make us be who we are and want to be more. So that's the reason why I decided today, despite all my fears and despite all my reservations, and funny enough, I'm in marketing and you think that it's something that's supposed to happen naturally. But despite all my reservations, I decided I was going to rise above fear and come and speak in front of you. Unox has chosen quite an interesting topic, rising from the ruins. And as I was preparing for this topic, I actually went to my friend Google. And I said, let's define what ruins are. And it says a ruin is a state of physical destruction or disintegration. When something disintegrates, the possibility of rebuilding it is almost impossible. Because when you disintegrate, you rot. When you disintegrate, you are torn to shreds. And rebuilding those shreds takes a special person. And that is why I am saying, if you want to rise, you will have to take after the phoenix, which is able to rise from the ashes. And the only way that you'll be able to do that, to rise from the ashes, is if you have the right attitude and if you have the right aptitude. And that is what I'm going to be talking to today. So let's start. Where are we coming from? I decided I wanted to shine for you, my friend. So where do we come from, people? March 21, 2020. Number one flew from wherever he came from into KZN. and there was an announcement that we now have the strain. It was a world that none of us understood. It was a world that all of us feared. And it was a world that brought about the first ruin in the world that we had known it before. And that was COVID-19. Just as we were recovering from COVID-19, fast forward 2 years later, June 15, suddenly we wake up and the world as we knew it was no longer the same. Abantu were rioting and they had turned into animals. And I think I need to be very clear about that one. For you to go to your neighbor's house, their shop, hard-earned cash, and decide it doesn't deserve to stand, and you go in and you loot, means there is something that we have lost as the human race. That's the second ruin that we then found ourselves in our modern world. Just as we were recovering from the riots of July 2021, we wake up and our foundations that we have built, thinking we had built it on solid rocks, suddenly crumbled. And God showed us for the first time, if we didn't know, that He's in control. He showed us that He's in control. And He said to us, no matter what rock you think your foundation is built on, when I have decided I am talking to you, I am making sure that you understand that I am me and I'm the mighty one. And it is me that is in control. Yes. So there's a few things that we need to learn from that, which I'm going to be taking you through. So all of these things affected us in terms of our lifeblood. We lost our jobs. Unemployment became strife. I'm in an industry where we are confronted by the realities of unemployment and what it means when suddenly I'm the breadwinner in a home where probably everybody works. And now I had to sit back and say, what does this mean in the context of rising and making sure that I'm able to face whatever God is trying to teach me? Our family structures as we knew them crumbled. A lot of us lost our families. Some of us lost our parents. We lost our sisters. We lost our brothers. The floods humbled us. And in the flooding that happened, people lost all members of families. These are the ruins that we are, these are the realities that we are faced with, that we need to understand. How do we rise above them? But out of all of these, like I said, the phoenix does rise from the ashes. Suddenly we are confronted by this new normal. And I must say, I get extremely excited by this new normal because it brings with it new possibilities. It brings with it new realizations of the capabilities that I have as a human being that have an impact in terms of how I impact others. So this new normal is bringing the light that we're all looking for. The vaccination has paved the way to new optimism. We are vaccinating because we want to live and we want to live again. And what does this mean for us in the context of the world we live in now? What is it that we need to learn that's actually going to help us in terms of moving forward? And lastly, we've learned to adapt. And that's the biggest thing that we actually need to tap ourselves on the back for. We are adapting despite all these difficulties that we find ourselves in. And therefore, there's a message that God is imparting on us, that we need to be still so that we can learn and understand what it means and what are the implications of that. So if you move on. So our world as we know it has shattered, literally. It's been ruined. We are dealing with too many moving parts. and too many unknowns that our brains are exhausted. We now require a new way of thinking. And now the question we need to ask ourselves is, what's that new way? Moving on. So I found myself at crossroads where I was asking myself a lot of whys. I was asking, why me? I was asking, what's my purpose? And I was also asking, why am I still standing? Yes. Why am I still standing? People have died. People have lost their jobs. Things have happened, but I'm still standing. Yeah. And then I reflected on what God's message is to me. He says, in the midst of strife, stand still. Be still and know that I'm your God. And it is those things that kept me going and those things that made me realize, if I still am breathing, it therefore means that God still has a purpose for me. He didn't want me to die, because the purpose is what is actually going to make a difference in the world. So that has given rise to a rebirth. Now the question that I ask you is, you are sitting here listening to us. It means that God has spared you. What's your purpose? Why are you here? What's the difference each and every one of you are going to make so that this world becomes a better place for those who live in it? That's what I want us to reflect on. So there are two verses for me. You can click again, Sne, twice. There are two verses for me that really have kept me going. The first one is Jeremiah 29, verse 11. It says, "For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you a hope and a future." That's why you're still standing. Because God is saying to you, I will not harm you. I want you to prosper. And it will be irresponsible of us if we don't heed the call that He's given us, and that this is the call of prosperity. When He says He's going to prosper you, He's not saying ukuthi uhambe uyohlala ekhoneni and do nothing with the talent that He's giving you every day. That's the challenge I have for you. And then another one that I actually live for is Psalm 23, verse 4. He says, "Yea, though I walk the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me." So ngisho ngabe kuthiwa ivunguvungu ziyakushukuzisa. Ngisho ngabe kuthiwa abantu uhlangene nequlu lamasosha that want to shoot you, God says, "Yea, though I walk in the valley of darkness, I will fear no evil, for He is with me." What does that mean for you? How do you then make sure that you heed that call? So that ungadlali ngoNkulunkulu umshaye ngetshe when He has given you power to be anything you want to be. Those are the questions that you need to ask yourself. So I then said to myself, ngimile, unginikile impilo. I owe it to Him not to think outside the box. I owe it to Him to behave as if the box doesn't exist. Yeah. What does that box mean to you? That non-existent box means to you? It means less fear, no fear actually. It means doing it anyway, even when you fear. It means forging ahead even when people are trying to pull you back. Yeah. It means saying no to the naysayers, because you know, yea, though I walk in the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. Because He will not harm you. He wants to prosper you. Yes. That's the message I want to leave to you. So now let's move on. Out of this came rise to my baby. And that is Fun to Fit with Flying Coach. Now, I need to acknowledge a few people as an inspiration to Fun to Fit. When Ella started her boot camps, she used to call me. Athi woza mntakama ngoba ngiyakuthanda ukujiva guys. For someone who doesn't want to be in front of people, ayikho into engiyithanda njengokujiva. I think I have another personality when you put music and you say start dancing. So I came and I started the dance aerobics. And then suddenly, Ella, when she calls me on stage, she will then call me the dancing whatever, the dancing coach. And then it evolved and it became the flying coach. Because mangabe seningifakela music, honestly, it's like nginyoni, I float. So that's how the name was inspired by Ella, but I then added Fun to Fit. And Fun to Fit for me is about simplicity. In life, the things that make the best of you is when you go back to basics and you just are simple. That's simplicity. Honesty, because we live in a world of false. And for me, those that stand out are those that are honest. So I put it in there. Authenticity. And for me, authenticity is about being real to who you are and not being influenced by those around you. So what is that authenticity for you? So I was asked to speak to aspects of fitness. And when I was reflecting on this, I said, I will not be doing this house any justice if I only confined the fitness to physical fitness. Because a body is a sum total of a whole host of other things. So for me, aspects of fitness include mental. So what are you doing to make sure that you are building on your mental fitness? Because when you are mentally fit, it's very easy for you to conquer mountains. The second thing that I looked at was spiritually. How do I make sure that I build myself, my spirit, so that when I go out there, I have a God that's looking after me and a spirit that's able to anchor him. The third one was physical, which is what I'm about. What is my physical fitness that I then need to talk to? Now let's start with mental fitness. There's a lot of things that you need to look at in terms of being able to address the mental side of things. Let's start with friends, good people. I went through a phase of weeding out, and I was deliberate in weeding out. Delete if they are not making a difference in your life. Sometimes it's not about quantity. We make a mistake. It's about quality. Are they with me? Mangifuna ukuhamba ngelokhuzeni. Baningi abantu that had friends who were not friends. Uthi mawubheka ngemuva uthole enkulu umbese. They have stabbed you in the back pretending to be your friends. Pray that God shows up and shows you who is for you. Yes. So weed. No, have a power to discern so that you understand who is for you and who is not for you. The second thing that I did was relooking my lifelong relationships. When you say, when death do us part, what do you mean? By the way, people make a mistake of thinking when death do you part, even when you are divorced, you still have a covenant that still binds you. And it means even in divorce, death will do you part. So how do you then effectively choose your lifelong partners? And for me, it's about values. Do you have the same values? Do you have the same dreams and aspirations? And what do those mean to you? Are they aligned to where you're wanting to go? Are they supportive? Are they making sure that things happen? That's lifelong partnerships. And those are the questions that you need to be asking yourselves. The third one is sibling relationships. What can you learn from each and every one of your siblings? Knox, you are very lucky. Mina ngihlale ngimtshela uNox ngithi ngicela bandla bangi-adopte mabangenza udadewabo. Ngiyacela please. Sengiyicelela naphambi kwabanye abantu because she has an amazing family that supports her. Asibaningi esinalenhlanhla bafowethu. Ubuye nokugcina. Ungakhathazekwa namfowethu ngizokurecruiter nawe. Sengiyirecruitile. Your siblings play an integral part. Start valuing them. Maybe they should actually be your only friends that you have, because all they have is your best interest at heart. So siblings are an integral part. Your kids, ngiyajabula ukuthi ngikhuluma phambi komuntu ordained parent. The role that they play. Mina, I have 4 kids. About 2 abangobona bami, about 2 abawami. And there's so much that I learn from them. And they're an integral part kwi-journey yami towards the self-discovery. What are your kids teaching you? And if you are not learning anything, maybe go back. Stand still and listen. They have a lesson they teach you every day. Yes. So what does that mean? Let's move forward to spiritual well-being. We open a world to spirituality. Ngwacabangelile lama slides uthasho ukuthini. Nox mntaka majesu. Thingukutshela. Wenza ama-ada sithandwa sami. Joined a prayer group. Bakithi there's power in prayer. Iku WhatsApp. Yazi kuyaye ukuthi mase sebengishukuzisile emsebenzini sengihleli laphana ukuthi angihayize. I call on my prayer partners and I say ngithandazeleni, because they open up a world of possibilities. Yes. Obani la oma sisters akho azoba ama prayer warriors okufanele wajoin. Kunama sisterhood, ama soul sisters ku WhatsApp kwale ngisho sekuthini fake ku WhatsApp ama prayers uyazi ukuthi asehambile athunyelwe lapha phezulu to make sure things happen for you. You need that. Find a spiritual mentor. Someone ozokumentorisha mawusuqala ukubheda. Ikhanda lami liyahlaphuka. A lot of people know this. And sometimes mawunekhanda eliqinile elihlephukayo njengami, you might actually make enemies along the way. So a spiritual mentor is that one who has the ability to tell you ukuthi uyabheda manje. This is what you need to do, and not being afraid to be vulnerable in front of them, because in vulnerability there's a lot that you learn. And then we have meditation. 12 midnight, mina ngiyi-owl, angigugile weJesu, akusalaleki. So what I do is I meditate, because in meditation comes creativity. So what's your meditation? Where is the place that you othola khona ubuwena? Fall in love with that place and let that be your place of meditation. And then keep a gratitude journal. Aibo bafethu ave sibabi base abantu, because we are always complaining. Hayi mina Nkosi yami ngifet ngivuke namhlanje angisawazi nokubona ama love handle. So what? Uyaphefumula. Hayi bakithi namhlanje ngithe ngiyavuka ngathola ukuthi iso lami lokhu uzanuvukile. So you keep a gratitude journal. Ubale every single day. You will be surprised at the message that God gives you through that journal. Uyaphila. Uyaphefumula. Awukho esibhedlela. Ingane zakho zisaphila. Ulale ebusuku udlile. That's your gratitude journal. Ezinye izinto ungakhohlwa ngazo. Mawuboss wakhe kubuke kambe ekseni, so what? Mangabe uvuka ekseni wavuka kudabuka ibhluke, so what? Uvukile. Keep a gratitude journal. So moving on, we talk about physical well-being, which is my passion. Hayi ke ngasekujimeni bafowethu ngiyakuthanda and ngajima ngijime kuze kuhlwe. And part of the reason why that is happening is because for you to face the battle esifacana nayo every day, you need to be physically fit. And there are various aspects of things that you can do. But mina into engihlale ngiyitshela abantu ukuthi just move. Hamba, move. Cleaning the house, lokho kushanela. You don't know ukuthi kwadifana kanjani amalokhu, move. That's all I always say to people. But then if you're interested in doing more, then those are the tools that I would give you. Aerobic exercises, your heart needs something that's going to, so that it's able to pump vital nutrients to various things. So aerobic exercises then become a nice thing. Manfuna ukuba no J-lo figures, yabona bese niba namalokhuzana nalezi down. I highly encourage strength exercise. Abantu abaningi bacabanga ukuthi amantombazane akufanele ukuthi aqubula ama weights. Mina, what I say to you is the bigger it is, the better for you. What it does is it actually helps with your metabolism, and it is yenzeka over a longer period of time than just ama exercises. So you burn fat longer by strength exercises. So fall in love with those weights. Fall in love with ama push-ups with your own body weight. Fall in love with ama squats. Mawufuna ukuzidefine. By the way, I need to be very clear ukuthi being fit doesn't mean ukuzaca. Yes. Ukuzaca sebaba out of fashion bafowethu. Being fit means uthi umuntu mayekubuka ayikho into ethi. Even in your bigness. Athi umuntu mayekubona athole definition even in your bigness. Ube ne pride yokuthi izinto mazihlala zithi thaqa. That is what it means. It doesn't mean skinny. And that's what I advocate with Fun to Fit. Ukuthi it's about how comfortable you are in yourself and enhancing what God has given you. And not resent it because awukwazi ukufika la ufika khona. It's never been about weight loss. That's what I advocate. That is what physical well-being is about. So ngideliver lezo zinto. So ngiwufana to fit angeke uzungibone ngizacile bafowethu akukho, but you have to have yabo ama curves in the right places, definition that given a canvas that God has given you. We enhance so that it becomes leyo mawakha kunikeza yona. Now let's talk about the story of a Bumble Bee. Another one of those that engiyithanda ngendlela ongakazi uyibona. Now there is a inyosi okuthiwa Bumble Bee. And aerodynamically a Bumble Bee is not supposed to fly. Why? Because it's too fat and its wings are too small. But there's something special about this lenyos. It doesn't know that it can't fly. So it flies anyway. It doesn't. It flies anyway, despite its limitations. So what I leave you with here is that behave like a bumblebee. Ama limitations, let them not set you back, because like I said, the God has plans for you to prosper you and not to harm you. So just because abantu have set limitations to you, our limitations and our boundaries are in our heads. We impose our own glass ceilings. And then when we shatter them, we then think, how did I do that? But the bumblebee doesn't know it can't fly. And it flies anyway. So what's your bumblebee moment? That's the question that I want to ask you. And then one thing that I also wanted to talk to you about is specifically this whole thing around financial well-being. Because all of these things, holistically, they form a fit body. Ayikho into enzima njengoba nesikweletu ebafowethu. awulali ebusuku. And it has an impact in terms of your mental well-being and your health. So if you fix a land of food, you are able to fix a lot of other things as well. So tips that have really worked for me going forward, use a budget. We have a thing of not budgeting as human beings. Budget and stick to that budget. There's a lot that you can save in doing so. Beware of how you spend your money. I have a journal, and the journal is a journal of entries of things that I've spent on. And at every month end, I do a reconciliation, and I say, did I need this? And then you do better the next time. Those are the things that you need to do. Develop a saving regime. Mawuba ne-increase emsebenzini, awuku-develop nje i-habit yokuthi ungayithathi leyo increase uthenga izinto. Pretend as if it never existed. Uyifake kuma-savings, you will never know what rainy day you are saving for. Very important. Plan for major purchases. Ungavele udlumbulele ikhanda nje uhambe uyothenga izinto ungabudgetanga and you haven't planned for it effectively. These are the things. By the way, major purchases are even the clothing that you wear. That's a major purchase because it's taking things out of your pocket. Plan for it. Handle credit with care. In fact, it's sad. I always encourage people to have good credit. Credit that is intended to help you build, not credit as overly harm. So what is good credit? You started a fish and chips building, a Lokuzana business. Credit enabled you to do that. That's good credit. That's the credit that you need to be planning for. Tati credit card dabule. It's giving you nothing. Plan for good credit. Keep a financial record. I've spoken to this. You will be surprised at the wastage oyenzayo. Ungaboni. So keep it so that you understand. And then set up an emergency fund. I-COVID is shayisile bakithi yasikhombisa ukuthi you need to have reserves in cases of emergency. And the only way you build that is if ngijabanje ngishilo uma uthola increase ifake we save. That's your emergency fund. And negotiate for better rates and terms. You'll be surprised. Yazi uba ungena kwa-Edgars. Do it once. Uyakubona uthi ngicela unginike discount kulena. Ama-shops amaningi bargain on the fact that you are not going to know that you can ask for a discount. Ziningi mina izinto esengayi-negotiate ko-Woolworths ko-ubani. When I go there and I say, surely there must be a discount. If you don't ask, you won't know. And you won't get. So learn the art of actually bargaining for discounts. And then just lastly, what I wanted to, because I work in this environment, I really wanted to let you guys know that there are funding solutions that are available out there that you can tap into if you really are interested, for instance, in starting your own business, in doing things that you want. Ithala, financial solutions are corner. For instance, they include commercial property finance, your franchise finance, microfinance, procurement finance, and structured finance, should you be interested in starting businesses along those lines. And in terms of criteria, they have two funds. There is a Ithala fund where they say if you are 51% black owned, they give you prime minus. So that there is, and then they relax their credit requirements. And then mangabe ukona enterprise development fund, they're looking at 21% black ownership, and then other things. Tap into those things, Bagit. These institutions are created for us, abantu abamnyama, so that we are able to make better use of them. Siba abantu emhlabeni. Kube khona KZN Growth Fund. Kube khona trade and investment KwaZulu-Natal where I work. Specifically here, ours is to drive in investment and trade. So if we're business and you've reached a saturation point within ilokuzana environment and ufunu exporter, they have a unit that's specifically geared towards driving export development. Mangabuze wenza izinto mhlambi ama bags and you are wanting to export them, they help you and they bacathulisa in terms of the things that you need to do so that you are able to export. business development, enterprise development, there is a unit within trade and investment that basically helps you. Let's say unama plans on now and you are looking to start a business and you want to know how viable is that business. They help you with feasibility studies. So tap into those things, they will help you a lot. Then you have tourism KwaZulu-Natal, if you are interested in starting your tourism business. By a tourism development unit, and again, black-owned Khuzana. So they make sure that they are able to help you in terms of driving that, so that you become a key and major player within that. And then bese kuba khona no economic development, tourism and environmental affairs. Hambani yakubona nifike nibuze ngo project Vula, nibuze futhi ngo project Raset, and those are the projects that are aimed at SMME development. So abantu abanjengathi that are looking to start businesses. There's a lot more. I'm happy to take you through that so that at least you understand what are the things that are available and ngayisebenzisa to help you build. And then lastly, what I will leave you with is, when the storm rips you to pieces, you have to decide how to put yourself back together again. The real heroes are those who rebuild their lives using adversity as a stepping stone to greatness in the midst of the chaos life has thrown at them. And that's the message I'm leaving to you. Rise above adversity in the midst of the storm. Behave like a bumblebee. Ngiyabonga.